Domestic Violence Essay. Essay on Domestic Violence for Students and Children in English. Domestic violence, also referred to as intimate partner violence or domestic abuse, takes place in an intimate relationship. Domestic violence can happen in both heterosexual relationships as well as same sex relationships. Threatening a person is also a type of domestic abuse, affecting the person mentally and emotionally. Any abusive relationship involves an imbalance of power and control being practiced on the victim. An abuser exercises control over his or her partner and use harsh and hurtful words and behaviors. While some relationships are abusive from the outside, it might not be easy to identify domestic violence at first. While some relationships are abusive from the very beginning, abuse often starts subtly and with time it gets worse. Domestic violence can be taking several forms, such as physical, economic, verbal, religious, emotional, sexual, and even reproductive. Acts of domestic violence may include persistent forms of marital rape, also violent physical abuse such as beating, choking, female genital mutilation, and acid throwing can lead to disfigurement and, in extreme cases, death. Apart from these, calling the victim names to insult or put them down and preventing or discouraging the victim from going to work or school, or even stopping them from seeing family members or friends. They are trying to control how one should spend their money or control what one wears, acting jealous or possessive, or even constantly accusing the victim of being unfaithful. These are also a few ways in which domestic violence is practiced. On a worldwide basis, women are overwhelmingly the victims of domestic violence. Also, women tend to be experiencing severe forms of violence. In some countries, cases of domestic violence are often seen as justified, especially in cases of suspected or actual disloyalty on the women's part and are also legally permitted. Research has shown that there exists a significant and direct correlation between a country's level of gender equality and domestic violence rates. Countries that experience higher rates of domestic violence have less gender equality. Domestic violence on a worldwide basis is among the most underreported crimes globally for both women and men. Due to the presence of the social stigmas regarding the victimization of males, men who are domestic violence victims face an increased likelihood of being overlooked by healthcare providers. Domestic violence often takes place when the abuser believes that the victim is subordinate to them and it is the abuser's entitlement, justified and acceptable. Domestic violence may produce a cycle of intergenerational abuse in children and other members of the family, as they feel that this kind of behavior is normal and acceptable. In an abusive relationship, there is a cycle of violence and abuse which is committed by the abuser when there is a rise in tension or an act of violence is committed. It is then followed by a period of calm and reconciliation. Victims of domestic violence are stuck in domestic relationships or situations through the lack of financial resources, power and control, isolation to protect a child, fear of cultural acceptance, traumatic bonding with the abuser, or fear of shame.